Okay, we're calling the session to open at 6:30 on Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening. Do we have anybody here who wants to do the invocation? Anybody feel comfortable with it? Nancy, would you please?
Please rise. Heavenly Father, we offer you the thanks for all the wonderful things that happened in Canyon Lake in the year 2016. So many groups worked together in harmony. So many wonderful events happened, experiences for children, the elderly, for everyone. And we were generous. We gave gifts to other communities in the form of turkeys and food. So many volunteers that gave of themselves. Now, Lord, we have a new year ahead of us. We pray for the same harmony and guidance from above. We pray for people to work together for the good of not only this community, but others. We pray for the elderly, the infirm, and for small children and young families. We pray that Canyon Lake has a most amazing year ahead. Amen.
Stay standing. We can have the Pledge of Allegiance. Ted, would you mind leading us?
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Bonner.
Here.
Councilmember Aaron Krantz.
Here.
Councilmember Green.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Warren.
Here?
And Mayor Haggerty is excused for this evening.
Yes, she's not feeling well, so she's taking her plague and going home. Okay, we have the city council agenda to approve. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve. I second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have any special presentations or proclamations? Do you have anything you'd like to say? Chamber of Commerce?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. We do have our installation gala coming up the 28th of January. That's kind of what we're working towards right now. We do have two new board of directors that will be sworn in that night, Barry Walker and Matt Swinson. Trying to get some new blood on the board and maybe change some things up. But anyhow, we still have seating available for the dinner, and we are still looking for donations for the raffle and silent auction. That's all I have. Thank you.
Any person wishing to address the city council on any matter within the jurisdiction of the city, whether or not it appears on this agenda, is asked to complete a speaker request form available on the back counter. The completed form is to be submitted to the city clerk prior to an individual being heard by the city council. The city council has adopted a time limitation of 3 minutes per person. If you are commenting on an agenda item, your comments will be heard at the time that particular item is scheduled on the agenda. Please note, if you are addressing the city council items not on the agenda, the Brown Act does not allow discussion of such items. Therefore, the city council may only do the following: refer the matter to staff, ask additional information, or request a report back, or give very limited factual response. Nancy?
Nancy Horton, EVMWD. Just some lake updates. Our lake is obviously at the top. It's just a tiny bit below going over the dam. It's been going over the dam for about 7 or 8 days. The velocity was good. It was not huge, which is wonderful. When it goes over to the dam and it's with such force, it usually damages not only properties in Canyon Lake, but properties below us as well. So this was great that we got slow, steady rains. They didn't impact us all at once. The runoff from above us in the watershed was perfectly timed and we couldn't have asked for anything better. We have had approximately 5.2 inches of rain, a little bit more in the city of Lake Elsinore. Elsinore height or level was 1232. That's disastrous because it needs to be at 1240 for the health of the fish and the habitats and for people to be able to use it safely. At the moment, it's at about 1233 and a bit, so it's gone up maybe a foot from all of the rain that we got and all of the water that's gone over the dam. It's not enough. Obviously, it needs to go up another 7 feet, and that's going to take colossal rains for that to happen. So we're in the 6th year of a drought. At the turn of the year, that's exactly what that's a new drought year. Frank Gerke, who has been doing the measurement of the snowpack for 50 years, was up there right after the first of the year. And for the month of December, they said that the snowpack in the Sierras was about 50% of what it should be for the month of December. For the month of January, so far, it's looking like it may be a little bit higher. But we aren't going to get out of a 6-year drought with a few rains. The groundwater needs to be replenished. There's so many things that need to happen with the stormwater. So we just need to keep our hopes up for rain. One thing that is a little bit cheerful is that last year the climatologists forecast an El Nino, and they got rain in Northern California, but we didn't get very much in Southern California. Our total rainfall for the year, the rain year, which starts in July and ends in June, was about 6 inches, hugely below what it needs to be. But this year, they forecast a La Nina. But something interesting happened. That big blob of sort of turbulent weather sat just off of the west coast of California, and that caused all of the storms to go above us into Northern California last year. I just read recently that that blob has dissipated. So we're getting rains in Southern California because there's nothing to block them coming across the Pacific. So what we're expecting tonight or tomorrow is a Pineapple Express. I wouldn't even begin to predict how much rain we're going to get. We're supposed to get another front coming in over the late weekend hours. That's wonderful. If we keep getting these fronts coming in every few days, it's absolutely terrific. We don't want one huge storm of 5 inches to destroy our causeways and so forth. Yes.
I'm sorry, we're trying to keep our comments to within the time
Sure.
limit this time.
So the last thing that I wanted to say is that there was great cooperation between the three agencies, the PLA, the city, and the water district so far, and let's hope that that continues for a safe winter rainy season. Thank you.
Please read the consent calendar.
All items listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine matters, status reports, or documents covering previous city council action. The items listed on the consent calendar may be enacted in one motion. With the concurrence of the city council, a council member may request that an item be removed for further discussion. Staff recommends approval of all items.
I do have one item that I would like to have pulled from the consent calendar. It's check number 22811. I just have a question on, there's no details on it. Can you tell me what that includes?
Do you want to just have a discussion on it and then approve the entire agenda, or do you want to pull it?
If a discussion is fine, I just would like to know. Since we
Okay.
don't get the details, I'm curious why it's
Sure,
different.
so that was, at the time, Mayor Brown, that was his reimbursement request for October of 2016, and it was for a total of $179.34. $40 of it was for his internet use. His cell phone was $48.34. And then the remaining was that $91 was mileage to the League of Cities Conference in Long Beach and parking.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then we need a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Make a second.
Do we need a roll call?
Councilmember Bonner?
Yes.
Councilmember Aaron Krantz?
Yes.
Councilmember Green?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Warren?
Yes.
Motion passed 4-0 01 with Mayor Haggerty absent.
Okay, and we move next to our schedule of future events. Admin, Finance, and Planning, January 31st. Public Safety, January 25th. Canyon Lake City Council meeting, next one is February 1st at 6:30. Water Committee meeting is February 16th. Economic Development and Healthy Communities meeting is to be determined, and so is the Veterans Committee meeting. And do we have any further public comments we need to entertain before we go to a public hearing? Okay, so we call this closed at 6:40. Now we move into the public hearing. Stephanie, can you read that?
This is the public hearing, second reading, and adoption of ordinance number 170, repealing ordinance number 150, and adopting the 2016 California Fire Codes as amended by the City of Canyon Lake.
So if you want to go ahead and open the public hearing, we have staff, we have somebody from the fire marshal's office from Riverside County Fire. They'll give you the information.
Okay, so we'll officially open it at 6:40.30. Fire Marshal James Frater.
Yes. Honorable Mayor Pro Tem and council members, James Frater. James Frater, Riverside County Fire Department, County Fire Marshal. This item is the second reading and public hearing for the adoption of the 2016 California Fire Code with amendments. Rather than have the same presentation that I did last time at the first reading, I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. And of course, if you'd like more information, I'm certainly here to do that.
Is there any changes from your comments a month ago? to the
No,
last?
no changes.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Cost recovery.
Mhm.
It's pretty explicit in here. If someone causes an accident, negligent, starts a fire, that the county of Riverside Fire will go after them for cost incurred to bring that incident in control. Is that correct?
It gives the authority for the Riverside County Fire Department to do that.
How often do you do it?
I would have to get back with you on that. That is through a different area. That's through Sinclair and Administration Office on how often they do that. But if they do, my understanding is that that all goes back into a general pot of money, which is then reallocated back to the partner cities.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Do we open it for public comments? Do we have any public comments on this?
No public comments.
Okay, then we need a motion. Need to close the public hearing and then go to a motion. Sorry about that. So we close our public hearing at 6:44.
I make a motion to adopt the new edition of the fire code as amended and as recommended by the fire marshal.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Bonner?
Yes.
Councilmember Aaron-Krantz?
Yes.
Councilmember Green?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Warren?
Yes.
Ordinance passed 401 with Mayor Haggerty absent.
Okay, next we go to item 11, update on the possible one-year fire contract with Riverside County to replace 2 people at 60. Aaron, can you give us the update?
Sure. Madam Mayor Pro Tem, so what has recently happened is the City of Calamasa has worked out an agreement with Riverside County to have less than, my understanding is less than 3-person staffing for their engine and at a reduced service level of a paramedic. I believe they have what they call basic life support, which is EMTs, or that you'll hear as BLS. And so at the December 13th meeting, it's inaccurate in the staff report, says 14th, but at the 13th Board of Supervisors meeting, Supervisor Jeffries had a item on there that stated that whatever Calamasa gets, the same contract needs to be offered to City of Canyon Lake. That passed without any issue. And so what we're doing right now is it's just a little bit of a waiting game. Calamasa, I've talked to their staff. They're still reviewing it with their attorney. It should be brought forward in the next couple of weeks to their council. Once it it's going to go public on their agenda, their city manager's going to send me a copy. And so we'll be able to review that. The basics of it is it's going to be a 1-year contract at 6 months. There's language in there that states that the city needs to notify the county. The city of Calumet will need to notify the county whether or not it will be going to a 3-person engine company with a medic come the end, when the 12 months has expired, to renew or extend a contract. We would have to go to that. I believe that's that language is in there. That's what I've been told by the supervisor. So we're waiting to see what the final thing is before we go forward. Obviously, we're looking at that. We got a 3-year cost proposal from the county last summer. So the fiscal year 17-18, I believe, was estimated at $1.9 million for a 3-person paramedic station. That's to open 60. So we're assuming with the reduction, it should be about a third. So we're looking at probably about 1.3. That's kind of where we're at. What I want to get from the council is just consensus of whether or not, once we get that information, we want to go forward and we'll get costing from the county. At that time, I'll contact County Fire and talk with Chief Hawkins about actually getting those cost figures and bringing those back so we can, because that'll be about the time we can start building that into our budget.
Questions, Jordan?
Yes, you said there was an assumption with the 3-year contract. Do we have any idea or any hope that it may be less than that?
No, when I asked for the 2 separate items, so what we would get from the county at a reduced level would just be for 1 year. The 3-year costs was what I asked for last summer, and it basically this year would have been 1.8 million. Next fiscal year, 17-18 would be 1.9, and then 18-19 would be 2 million.
I understand that, but is there a possibility that that may change? This was given to us a year ago, which we didn't accept.
Yeah, well, about 6 months, 6-7 months ago.
Right.
Yes, obviously that could change now. My understanding is the state has concluded labor negotiations with CAL FIRE's major bargaining unit with all the suppression individuals. And one of the big cost factors we're going to have to look at is the fact that it looks like they'll be changing their work week, is my understanding, from a 72-hour work week to a 56-hour work week, which could right now, and Councilmember Green, you can correct me if I'm wrong, based on their Schedule A contract with a 3-man engine company, they kind of do it that you get budgeted 9, but you kind of pay for 8. If with the 56-hour work week, we will probably have to, they'll be increasing a body, is the way is what my people are, the people I know in the fire service are telling me. And so there would be an instant, let's just say $150,000 cost, because you're adding a 3rd body.
So are we?
So I could say, like the city of Menifee, they have 4 stations, that's $600,000 before anything increase right there.
So we're waiting to follow Calamasa at this time.
Right, so we're waiting for them. I've talked to their city manager, her and her city attorney. I talked to her about a week and a half ago. They were finishing that up. They're hoping to get it on one of their council meetings for January, and when they do, she's going to send me a copy so we can go through it.
Aaron, we probably don't have much flexibility, but it seems like we have a very small window of 6 months. We have to make the, is it on? Well, in that 6 months, we're going to have to make a decision.
Correct.
Is that reasonable?
Well, we can also see, at that 6 months, we can go back to the county and say, this is working great. Maybe it was working with us in Calumet, and if it's, if it's not an issue for a county, maybe it's where we can get maybe an additional 2-year extension out of it. It's kind of maybe it's a working prototype to see if this is something that the county would be willing to offer to their smaller contract cities.
Okay. Thank you.
I think we need to move forward with looking at this option. It's not the final option by any means, because there are other alternatives that we will be exploring in this upcoming year and in years to come. But we need to fix our current response problems we've got now for the west side. So I think this is a step in the right direction, and I hope that we can negotiate a contract with county and move forward with restaffing Station 60.
I just have one question about the 6 month bothers me, but it didn't sound like it was worded as an ultimatum. You either decide to do this or else.
Right, so I like I said, I haven't seen the contract. That's what the supervisor informed me of, so I need to see the actual wording to see, if it's basically like where we have now, take it or leave it. You have the
Right.
3-man minimum staffing, so, and I'll be having those discussions with the city manager of Calamasa and get their input of what they think they're gonna do and how I feel it's gonna affect their city as well.
Now, our current contract runs through June,
Correct.
and we'll need the time between now and then anyway to
Correct.
bring everything up to speed.
Right, there is some maintenance we need to do over at Station 60. That'll give us a couple of months. About 7 months ago, I talked to, at the time, Chief Pemberton. And I told him, if we decide, when we get around to opening 60 and county fire is our option, how long do you think it would take you to staff? He said it would take no more than 90 days,
Right.
maybe less.
Okay.
So we have a window where that we can function in to be able to get that open by July 1st.
We have to have plans for a good ribbon cutting. Bring us back. Okay, thank you. Hey, that brings us to.
We have one comment card for that.
Oh, sorry.
Two?
Yeah.
Okay.
Barry Talbot?
Thank you. As always, it's a pleasure to speak before this august council. I do have some concerns about this. I did want to congratulate you on the progress that we have done. Basically, it's something that the city's been trying to get done for about the past 8 years, is to get equal treatment with what Calamasa has had all along. I'm glad that we're making some progress on that. But I just caution you that so far the negotiations have drawn out for a very long period of time, and always have. And it's very difficult negotiations all the time, and you might be disappointed in what the outcome finally turns out to be. Councilmember Aaronkrantz is the only one who had personal experience in dealing with some of these negotiations in the past, and he can vouch that, and he's probably already told you about that it's very, very difficult to work with the fire and the county and everybody else that's involved in it. So I caution you there, and I hope you haven't said anything about the pending litigation, but this is for a 1-year contract. I hope we're not considering releasing our pending litigation for this issue. Do we still have some pending? Nothing pending? Okay, good on that. I'm out of step on that then. So anyway, I just caution you, it sounds good, but again, it's just an interim step. And I wish you best of luck in getting it accomplished. Thank you.
John Zeitz?
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, council members, I was at the December 13th meeting at the county, and since it was enacted without any discussion, I stayed after the vote and had some discussions on the implications of what that really means. And it's interesting that you got up first, Barry, because I was reading the other day a letter that was directed to Ariel Hall, but pertaining to you, where you requested a 2-man paramedic unit in the Hawkins letter to you back in 2011. And one of the interesting parts of that is he said that it would be $963,000 just for the 2-man paramedic unit. But then you're going to have mutual aid and fire, and you're going to have to contract with that. So if we're looking at a specific cost, then that's the cost for the paramedics. Then you're going to have mutual aid, like for like. I don't know how you're going to get that, but you can probably work your way through that, and have some payment for fire coverage. And if it's what you're getting now, that's $1.3 million. It's $1.3 million and $900,000. That's a lot more than what we have. But that's speculation as to what we have. The thing that I found interesting, though, in my discussions on the Calamasa agreement is that the Calamasa agreement, as you said, would be brought up in January because it's a January to January contract. I just want amplification. I'm not. You had mentioned that they're going to do something in January, and we're July, but theirs will be January to January with a trigger in 6 months, which is what you're talking about. That they have a trigger at 6 months, which is when our contract ends, to decide what they're going to do next January. Whether they will find some other service, whether they'll go to a 3-person service or something else. So we really don't know as a city what Calamasa is going to do and what it's going to be equal to until the end of June or first part of July, when the trigger takes effect. And that then only really goes until from July to January for Calamasa. Yet we have a year's contract. It's going to be fairly interesting and kind of goofy in a way. And the only thing that you can do is go forward as you're looking to do, and then find out what the cost of fire coverage is going to mean to the city. And Barry, just what goes around comes around. This is something that you did back 5 and 6 years ago. So thank you for what you did back then, and we'll see what happens in the future.
Any further discussion? Any more speakers? No. Council? Okay, we'll move on to 11.2, or do you need any guidance from us on this, or are we good to go?
I think that what we'll do is when we get the contract from Calamasa, we'll analyze that and bring that back, hopefully, if it sooner rather than later. If it's not February, it'll be March meeting.
Okay.
If we have to have a special meeting, if that's something the council will desire, then that's something we can do later in February.
Okay, absolutely. Okay, so moving to 11.2, discussion regarding process for update and possible revision of complete council reimbursement policies. Aaron?
This item was placed on the agenda because of a variety of discussions, excuse me, regarding reimbursement policies that has come up. We are suggesting that you take the approach of appointing either an ad hoc committee or referring this matter to the Finance and Administration Committee in order to take a look at those policies. Some of the amounts could be subject to change. IRS reimbursement rates have changed. As a beginning of a budget process, either mid-year adjustment or for the budget in June, if you, Mayor Pro Tem, or you'd like to speak with the mayor about appointing such an ad hoc committee to get this process started. And the materials are ready to be presented to the committee, but we don't have a committee, however you choose to go yet.
I think the mayor would be comfortable with an ad hoc. I'd like to suggest that we go that direction. Are there any other discussions?
Obviously, the ad hoc would bring its findings to the full council
Right.
for a discussion in a public open session.
Absolutely, absolutely. Any thoughts on that? Volunteers? Well, since nobody's standing up, I guess I can say Larry volunteers. And I think Randy volunteers.
Randy? Okay. We got
Always
it.
like a willing volunteer.
I know. I can hear the train coming.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
So are we calling that an ad hoc committee or the finance committee?
Well,
We'll call it the ad hoc.
It's the ad hoc
But it
committee.
is going to
Yeah.
be part, yeah, it's going to be an ad hoc that will
Yeah.
address the reimbursement
Right.
issues. And
Right.
since the material's already prepared, we can do our comparisons and bring it to you.
Yeah, let's
and-
start working on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, we can do it that way.
We're going to be reviewing, just so the public knows, we have a lot of discussions about many of our policies and procedures that have had to be reviewed for a long time. And now that we have a little bit of breathing room and things are starting to settle into a normal routine, we'll be doing this. So having this set as an ad hoc committee, I imagine it's not going to end with these policies and procedures. It's probably going to go further. Betsy, you have a...
Since your two ad hoc members are the Administration and Finance Committee, I think you probably need at least one different ad hoc committee member, so that you don't accidentally have an ad hoc, a non-ad hoc committee meeting, or you need to use the committee, either way.
Okay, I will volunteer to be... So do you want to step down as your volunteer? Randy's not volunteering anymore. No, I don't think he did, but anyway, he's decided not to, so.
So to confirm, it's an ad hoc committee. The mayor can confirm the appointment outside this meeting, and then you guys get together and...
Okay, on to 11.2, or 11.3, sorry. Discussion of possible cafeteria benefit increase for staff.
Yes.
Staff, would you give us a report?
Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem, this is an item that the council wanted brought back in January. and so it's January, and we're bringing it back. Attached to it, if you went through your packet, was the staff report, I believe, from back in August, addressing the cafeteria issue. I think we had the discussion at that time. The staff was initially recommending an increase to $13.50, which would be based using the Kaiser family rate. That would be about 75% of the cost. Also in there is a brief benefits survey that shows some of those other surrounding cities or like cities. At the time, I believe Mayor Brown recommended $1,100 a month, and so at the time, council was kind of waiting to see what was going on, wanted it brought back in January. That money was adopted in the budget, but has not been utilized because the cafeteria number has not been increased by the council, but the money has already been budgeted for, so there would not be any budget adjustment or increase to the current budget to fund this at any level. At any level, $13.50 or below. If you'd like to go higher, I don't think the employees would complain, but we're just saying.
Council discussion, do we have?
Yeah, I've got to how was the 1350 derived?
It's 75-25.
Okay. And I did look at the city surveys and could do the comparison. It looks like we would fit right in with most of the cities as far as what they're allowing for their employees, as far as their cost recoveries in their cafeteria programs. And I think it's important that our employees are treated well.
The only question I have is that if you look at this, a lot of these communities, I'm not even sure where they're at, but the two closest is Calamasa, which we have a population very similar to Canyon Lake in this whole fire, and their amount is 800, and Lake Elsner, which is much larger than Canyon Lake, is 850. So why were those two so much different than the rest of the people are over 1,000 or over? Any comment?
No, that I don't know. Our contract finance director did the survey. I haven't had a chance to talk with the city manager of Lake Elsinore. Just for an example, there are some cities that they'll have a flat amount like this, that's cafeteria based, and then they do like a supplemental on top of it that employees would be outside of a cafeteria, so they wouldn't be able to cash it out. So anything above that would go towards premium coverages.
Well, apparently the population really doesn't equate to the amount of money that the cities pay. That makes no sense.
Typically, when you do salary and benefit surveys, you look at where your applicant pool is coming from and where your employee base is going to come from. So, in the past, when I've done them, I usually draw a radius circle of usually about 60 miles and see what cities fall in there. Obviously, you're going to get large cities, small cities, different times like there. So, when you look at those, you can see like, okay, so if you draw a circle around us, I mean, government is obviously an interesting business, and so you're looking for those skill sets. So obviously, all the neighboring cities are potential hiring pools for the city.
But as Councilman Bonner said, it doesn't make any sense. Elsinore has 58,000 people, and they're paying approximately the same price as Calamasa, who has 8,000. I just don't understand.
Right, and like I said, I don't know if that's the true thing. I need to talk with Director Shea and see if there was anything that might have been left out, or it's just $800 a month. And that's something we can look at.
Okay.
Any further discussion from council? I understand why we tabled it before. I agree that it is time to revisit this. I think that I'm not comfortable still with the 1,300, but I think I would be more comfortable with an 1,100, maybe a $300 increase. That gives us kind of a middle of the road, and it puts us right around, if we are comparing more apples to apples, it would put us, I think, more comfortably for our budget. So I would be willing to consider that. I don't know if at this point we make a motion for that, or if there's further discussion anybody wants to have on that possibility.
Well, Vicki, you're actually more creative than I was thinking of do it in the difference, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, for two reasons. One, and the third year it would get to the 1,350. And secondly, it would be about the time the UUT tax sunset. So we know where we are as a city financially. And so, you know, we'd be much better, be in a position to know how we are financially as we go over time versus making the big jump at one time. That was my thinking.
Vicki, I think you said 1,100, and I think that's probably, compared to what we're looking at, I think that would be a fair number. And it is an increase, so I can support that.
So now we need a motion?
I make a motion that the amount be amended to 1,100 per month. Is
Okay.
that correct?
Yeah, 300 a month would make it 1109?
1106.
1106.50.
and- Yeah,
Or 29, I guess.
29.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
That's fine, I'll be happy to second that.
Yeah.
okay. We need a roll call?
Yes.
Councilmember Bonner,
Yes.
Councilmember Aaronkrantz,
Yes.
Councilmember Green,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Warren.
Yes.
Motion passed to approve the cafeteria benefit increase to 1106.29.
Thank you. Next, we move to item 12, city manager comments. Have you said all you have to say?
I think we've talked about fire, and so I think we're looking up. Obviously, I'm not putting all our eggs in one basket. I've got some ideas for, in case if this doesn't work out the way we think it's going to, there might be a couple other options. Hopefully, we can come to resolution quickly to be able to handle a July 1st start date. And so that's what we're looking at. So, and then once we get this settled, then we'll look at some other public safety issues. So that's where right now I'd like to, thank the staff. I've been here almost a year now. I'd like to say to the staff, you did a great job. Been really great, supportive. Tree lighting was great. Great holidays, and that few days that we had off was great. We didn't have really any issues, and so it was pretty quiet around here. And staff's doing a great job out there.
Absolutely. Okay, item 13, committee and council reports. Randy?
Okay, I'm going to, first of all, congratulate everyone for the holiday seasons. It was very special and very activities, and I think all went very well. And I think the city should be very proud of how that all went. I just want to, when I ran for the city council a second time, one of the things I talked about is this roundtable. And the difference between a roundtable and a committee is a committee has somebody running a meeting and there's an agenda. A roundtable is where there's a moderator and there's discussions to just talk about different aspects and look at operational efficiencies across the organization. I've talked to the POA general manager, the president of the POA. I've talked to the city manager. I've talked to the chief of police. I've talked to the general manager of the water district, and they're all signed up to get the roundtable going again in February. So I'm looking forward to it, and we're going to get back in the path where we're talking to each other, and we're going to get things solved quicker and more efficient. Thank you.
Excellent job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Aaronkrantz?
Due to the holiday season, I didn't have any committee assignments or any meetings to attend outside of what we normally do. It was certainly a great holiday. We were able to celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, and I think everybody was quite pleased with that. I will start tomorrow morning at my 4-hour trek to Skag, so things will be back to normal for my next meeting. But I would like to request a favor of our Mayor Pro Tem. If we could perhaps close this meeting in the honor of John Benoit, our supervisor of the 4th District. He was a good friend, but certainly a good supervisor, and I know that he's going to be missed. So at your closing remarks, if you could do that, I would appreciate it. And that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Absolutely, will do. Councilmember Green?
It's a test. It's on. Yay. This button doesn't like me. Yeah, I guess I'm the new kid on the block, so I have to learn how to operate this sticky button, but welcome all. And it's hopefully going to be a great 17. I think we got a lot of good things coming down the pike at us, some things we're working on. We did have the Admin Finance Committee yesterday. It was one of the shortest meetings on record, I guess. But that was primarily due to the holiday season, and a lot of folks were off with closures and stuff. But some good things did come out of it. For those who are in the lake that are watching this, the dog park is open. All the permits have been issued, what permits were needed. And so I guess everything's a go, Ted, from your side. Some good comments from our building and our officials as far as working very closely with our POA partners on code enforcement issues, certain things that we have responsibility for and certain things that they have responsibility for. They're meeting monthly to talk about current issues and devising plans on how we address them. So I think our cooperation for both our groups is very good. And I, thanks to Ted, and I did make the comment to others that we have made a commitment to work as closely as we can on common issues that we both share, because it is our community. It's not the POA's community or the city. Good news looks like our revenue, because of the UUT and because the reduction of our cost, we have reduced some of our cost. So we are probably in the best financial position we've been in several years. That's good news. We have a lot of things to do. One of the things is to watch all of our bills. And one of the things I'm working with Nancy with is our water at Station 60. It looks to be a little bit out of whack, maybe not. Maybe it's just because of a commercial meter, but we'll get that worked out. But overall, I'm looking forward to this year, and thank you all.
Thank you, Larry. I would like to say also that it was a great holiday season. The tree lighting was awesome. We had quite a few people, and throughout the rest of the year, I had a lot of compliments from people about how beautiful it was, and we took great pleasure in it ourselves. So well done all around, and I know that it's just going to get better and better, but we'll still keep it simple. And that's it for my comments. There weren't a lot of meetings that I attended. I did attend a water meeting, and our next shot at the alum treatments will be coming up in the spring as usual. And I'll have more to add next time because my meetings are all back on schedule, like Jordan's in January. Our next meeting is Wednesday, February 1st at 6:30 p.m. for the open session. And now we would slip into closed session if we need to, but we don't. But I would like to say, as Jordan said, we lost a comrade and supervisor, John Benoit. He'll be missed, and we close this meeting in honor of his memory.